Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome to this special episode, actually. Today I will not play, guys, but instead I will try and explain what I have learned so far in this game, playing this game. It's been roughly 260 days now, not 250, but I wanted to do this video or make this video when I crossed the 250 line, so it's pretty much the same thing. So yeah, just trying to explain what I've learned, and I think also like what you should know if you want to kind of get to the Hall of Masters and beyond that. And yeah, just what you should look out for, I guess, if you want to learn this game, and if you are a beginner or if you're just starting out. Just for the record, I show you my medals. So I've been playing since season 17, but pretty much just 3-4 games a day, maybe averaging 4, 5, 5, 6 max. Maybe not even that much. My overall stats, I have 2.5k games roughly, as you can see. And so in every of my seasons, I did reach Hall of Masters, but as you can see, not high Hall of Masters. I've been top 50 twice, but it really doesn't really matter, I guess. It's just, obviously your win rate matters as well, but as well as like how much you play. So overall, I would say I'm a top 500 player if everyone played. So take it as that I'm not the best player at all. I think I'm somewhat of a decent player, but definitely could not hang in the top 100 in all honesty if everyone played, who I know are very good. It's just that in every season, guys, it's only a few people who go for ranks, right? But at the same time, I still can express what I know and also can give you some advice on what to look at, like what to learn and what to look out for. So let's just do that. So I actually prepared a couple of things, but not much. It's gonna be a freestyle, guys. This is not a mega special video. It's just an extra vid. I have a DXT right there, and I have a paint if needed. I actually don't know if the paint will be needed or not. I know that for a fact that the TXT, I just want to take some notes, like bullet points on like what should be like, considered when you play this game. And that's pretty much it. So let's begin. So the first things first, guys, obviously are the basics. I'm just gonna add basics here. That is very, very important, obviously, when you play a game. So just how does the game work? Like what is the goal of the game? So obviously this is from the very, very beginning, but it might not be obvious to everyone because most tower defense games, you don't play it in a PvP manner. It's usually PvE. And so this is a PvP based tower defense game. So basically your opponent has the same information as you. First of all, you both see the screen the same way. There's no fog of war, right? The only thing you don't know is your opponent's income, obviously. But other than that, both of you have all information in front of you. And it's purely based on strategy, therefore. Everything is equal. There is pretty much no RNG in the game. It's kind of like chess, basically. So usually the better player can win more if chokes didn't happen. But because reaction time and all that matters, obviously it's not always the case. But yeah, there's no RNG, no teammates to blame. So it's a very fair game. And it's therefore very hard to gain advantage, guys. So because everything is equal, is very, very difficult. And that's the name of the game, really. But before we go there, just the basics again. So this is a tower defense game. You place down towers, you spend your money on that. And with that, you defend the Bloons. But not only that, but rather you also spend money on sending Bloons to the opponent, right? So you try and rush your opponent. And you have to kind of like balance this well. So you need to understand how much money do you need for defense and for offense. And obviously, yeah, try and take down your opponent. Everyone has 150 HP. And if you leak that amount, you will lose the game. Now, other things you need to understand is income, which we will get into, obviously. And like basic things, like what is a camo balloon, what is a lead balloon, what is a DDT, what is a BFB, what is a Moab, all these kind of things. And when does the game end if nobody dies? So round 40, for example. If, for example, guys, both players reach round 40 and both players have max HP, then it's playing along until round 50. And if both players reach round 50 and nobody dies, it's going to be a tie. But that's the only way to tie. Otherwise, someone is going to win. And so that means if you just leak 1 HP until 40 and your opponent doesn't, you will lose, even without leaking. So that's very important to know. I do know a lot of people don't understand this. They don't rush and they just die to sudden death because, or before sudden death, because they don't have the HP to go to above round 40. So the only way to go above round 40 is if both players have the same HP. And usually it is max, because otherwise it's very, very rare that both of them have 70 HP or something. But it can happen. So basically, if whoever has less HP will lose on round 40. And if you have the same amount of HP, you both go to sudden death. A single red balloon leak will end the game, and it goes until 50. And if nobody leaks, it's a tie. So that's something I actually did not know when I started the game. And yeah, I just learned it as I played, and as people told me that's the case. But yeah, that's important to understand. So basically, you need to rush your opponent before 40. You are forced to rush if you have less HP. Otherwise, there is no way you can win just by defending. And so these kind of things are very important because this will tie into the win condition, for example, for certain loadouts. And if you know the basics, then you can build on top of that. But if you don't know this, you are already kind of in a disadvantage, right? You also want to understand, as I said, bloom types and towers and heroes and economy. I think just understanding the basics is pretty much this. Just understand the rules of the game, right? Just understand the rules, how to win, what is a win, how can you achieve it, and yeah, what is the goal of the game, right? So basically, just again, placing down towers and sending rushes to your opponents. Now, the second thing you need to understand is economy. So that is very, very important, because obviously the only way you can pay for towers and rushes is if you have money. And so how much do you make? How often do you make money? So basically there's two ways of making money in this game. One of them is the base income, which is the green number, usually in the middle top of your screen. And you start with 250 income, right? So that's one way to earn money. The other way is with certain towers. So some towers can make you extra money or additional money, or even heroes. But the base income is usually what you start with, and that's all you have. And what is very important, guys, is it only arrives every 6 seconds. So you need to know this. Every 6 seconds you get paid out. And as you spend money on balloons, they usually increase your income. So without showing you anything, it's kind of hard to explain. So I'm going to show a website, guys. It's called Popology. And so this website, hopefully you can see it, contains all this information, basically. As you can see, there is a balloon section here. So if I go to the balloon section, I can look at all kind of balloons. So here you can see red balloon, blue balloon, green balloon, and it does say what is their speed, which rounds is it available, how much does it send, how much economy do you gain, how much does it cost. This is a fan-made website, but this is the best source of information for this game. So the link will be in the description, and we will get back to this when we look at towers and heroes. Obviously, I'm not going to go through every one of them, but you can pretty much go through this, read this if you are interested. But just if you just play the game, you know, it will be visible on the left side or the right side of your screen, and you don't really actually need to go through this, obviously. You can just play the game and learn. But there is always a spaced and a grouped version, right? And so usually the spaced one is more eco-efficient, but a lot slower. And the grouped is a lot faster, but less efficient. So what is very important, guys, is to increase your economy, right? It's kind of exponential if you think about it. The more money you have, the more you can make. just like in life, right? So let's say, let's just pull out the paint. Why not? And let me just hide this website again. Give me 1 second. So, like I said, just like in real life, you know that if you have, let's say, $100 and you put it to the bank, and it has 10% interest rate, you will end up with $110, right? By the end of the year, let's say. But if you have 200, it will become 220, which is, so here you made $10 and here you made $20, but with the same effort. So the more money you have, the more you can invest it into, and the more money you can make. So if you would draw a chart, it would probably look like this, your money. It's kind of exponential. The more you have, the more it increases over time. So obviously this is time, and this is your money. And so therefore it is incredibly important to make a lot of money early game, the most you can. So obviously you want to send the Bloons that make you the most money, which is the red bloon, by the way. It's the fastest way to increase your income. So the green number that is up on your screen and says 250 up there at the middle, this is what you want to increase as much as you can, unless you play farm strategies or other strategies that make money other ways. But in general, either way, you want to increase your income as much as you can. So this is very, very important because it is exponential. So if you just make a little bit more in the early game, it will be a lot more in the mid game and the late game. And it will obviously come down to that most of the time, because that money you can use to rush with and to defend rushes with. That's all about economy, but this is very, very important to understand. A lot of players don't understand this, and they don't even send Bloons, and they don't increase their income, and they just end up dying around very early, actually, because they just won't have the money ever to defend a decent size rush with. So always try and greed, basically. that is the name of the game, basically. Greed as much as you can, but it will be difficult without knowing towers and heroes and their strength. So what is, again, very, very important is just towers and heroes. And this is where I am weak, for example. I learned a lot about heroes and towers in this game that I had no idea about. So obviously when I started this game, I had some history of Bloons, not much. I did play Battles 1 back then a little bit, and BTD 6 and BTD 5. So I had a basic idea of these towers and overall a PvP tower defense game. But it's different. It's always different between these games. The balance is different. The towers are slightly different. So it's very important to know what they do actually in battles too. And again, I will pull up the Popology website because this is the best place to look to where you can read them. So if you go to the primary, for example, you can see all these towers, and it's kind of cryptic and kind of technical. If you look at it, it says these kind of like CDP are, and so it's not easy to understand, but it is very, very detailed. So literally it tells you everything that a certain upgrade does. It tells you what cross paths do what, which is definitely not in the game. And so if you don't understand all this terminology, and I don't either often, then you can go to terminology, and here it will explain what D is. So D is damage, MD is Moab class damage, as you can see, FD is fortified damage, J, P, R, everything is explained here. So it is actually very, very helpful to have this. If you didn't have this, and I didn't know this for a long time, and by the way, even when I did, I never really read this, then what you have is in-game. So basically, you go to your towers, right, or heroes, or monkeys, sorry, and you can obviously look at the upgrade path of the dart, but it doesn't tell you really how much pierce does it have, how much damage does it get. Often it it says something like this, that can pop 3 more balloons, that's good. But often it will just tell you like it pops more, and you don't really know how much more. And so you don't really need to know all this. But like, for example, here, this one pops 7 balloons per throw, and the glaives now throw a sharper glaive. But how much does it pop? You have absolutely no idea, because the game doesn't tell you, and there's absolutely no way for you to know unless you look at the website, or if you just play and just somehow learn it by eye, but you will never know the exact value. Now, is it important? I don't think it's that important, but this is where the knowledge base of the game comes. So the more towers and heroes you know, the better you will be, obviously. Like in a lot of cases, I don't know, for example, that something hits lads or camos. Like, for example, I still to this day, for example, I'm not sure if I actually look at the crossbow master, does this hit lads? But I do think it does. I think it hits everything. Most balloon types, it says, but is that everything? You cannot really tell unless you look at the website. So definitely, the more knowledge you have about each tower, the better you will be. And the same thing with heroes. Like, the other day it happened to me that I realized like how strong one of the hero's ability is, and there is still a lot that I have never seen or tried. So yeah, there is obviously 2 ways to learn, guys. One is to just play and just slowly gather knowledge over time, or to actively study, and that's when this website is useful. Me personally, I'm not a person who likes to actively study. I'd rather be learning slowly but without too much effort, so I'm more on the lazy side, obviously. But if you really want to improve your game, you probably want to go through the website at least once, read it, or at least the towers and heroes you use. But again, it's not a necessity at all. So let me just unhide the TXT. But a lot comes down to this, like tower and hero knowledge. And so why is that? Well, first things first, let me open Paint again, by the way. But I don't need it just yet. But I just opened it. So why is that? Because you need to understand, and I also need to understand the strength of a loadout. So each loadout consists of 1 hero and 3 towers, right? Loadout, and let's just say loadout strength. And so how can you tell what loadout is better in the late game, in the early game, in the mid game? And the only way is if you know the towers and it's and the hero, and it's really, as you can see, this ties back to point number 3. It is just, I cannot stress how important it is to know the towers and heroes. And so, for example, if you see a loadout and you see another loadout, can you tell which one dies at what round? What round is it where it usually cannot defend anymore? So some people know this very well, but only the top people. I think I know of maybe 2-3 loadouts, but that's it. That like where does it die exactly? Like, for example, I think Dark Blue Farm, for example, that I often play with Etienne, I think it dies around 36, 37. It obviously depends on the rush of the size, but if it's very, very big, it cannot hold, I think. But again, this is again just from the experience of my games. Maybe it can hold, but definitely not 40. So you kind of need to know this, because otherwise you don't know your win condition. Obviously, if your loadout can hold for longer, you don't need to rush your opponent. Basically, you can just defend and wait him to rush you and defend. So win condition is very, very important to understand. So I will add it as a separate point, because this is actually something I often break as well, because I'm just lazy to play my win condition. But in all honesty, guys, we should always, if I have the late game loadout, if my opponent has an aggressive loadout, I should not rush him at all. All I need to do is know how to defend their rushes, just wait them out. And if I get, let's say, impatient and try and rush my opponent, I'm not playing my win condition, because I'm not using my money to defend with, and I probably will bleed out eventually. Because obviously, if I use my money in round 13 to send a Rainbow Rush, the money, the economy is exponential. So that will hurt me a lot in the mid game, and a lot in the late game. you will not actually believe how much it is. I don't personally know how much it is. I just know it's a lot. So it's very, very important to play your win condition. And the only way you can do that is if you know the strengths of the loadout. Like if I face a loadout and I have absolutely no idea how strong they are, I'm kind of in trouble because I have to guess who's stronger in the late game, and I have to guess how I should then play the matchup. So everything comes down to knowledge, or a lot of the things. This towers and heroes section, and that's where I am the weakest probably, because like I said, I don't actively study the game. I just play the game and just hopefully learn it, game by game. And it's definitely doable. Like I said, you can easily get to top 50 at least, I can tell you that much, just by playing the game. You don't need to actively study it, but just do understand this is very, very important, obviously. So yeah, next thing is to the maps. So you kind of need to know the maps and what loadouts do you want to play on them. Obviously, if a map is shorter and if a map is longer, they probably require different strats, but you also just need to know like what kind of towers work on a map. And the only way, again, is to play the game and experiment it out. And there are many, many maps that actually require specific defense, or at least quite a lot. A lot of people don't know how to play them. They often skip them or even dodge them. I don't think that's the way, guys. Just play everything and learn from your opponent. If you see them do something that you did not know, try and learn from them. If they win against you or beat you, try and understand why that happened, and just learn all the maps if you can. Obviously, that's just going to increase your variety and skill set. And it's same with the towers and heroes. The more you play them, the more you will know. But again, you don't want to always change it up, because then you will not master neither of them. It's kind of like, do you want to practice 1,000 kicks once, or one kick 1,000 times, or literally just every kick, or more, like let's say half of the kicks 500 times or 200 times, whatever. It's really up to you. I am more on like, let's master a strat and then move on to another and then master that. But every now and then we should force ourselves at least to, learn new towers and heroes, because overall, if you want to improve, it's just mega important, this third bullet point. So yeah, maps are again very, very important. I usually play all the maps. I always skip some as well, but obviously I cannot control the random maps, and sometimes it ends up being that map that I skipped often. And if that's the case, I play it. So I never dodge maps. Don't dodge map, guys. Just play it. And if you lose, who cares? Like right? You will eventually learn it. It's not that bad. And so it's very, very important actually to understand which map is defendable and how long they are defendable, because if you select a very, very strong late game loadout that suffers in the early game on a short and very hard to defend map, you will probably lose very early. So for that reason, you need to understand the map lengths, their layouts, their spots. And this comes down to bullet point 7, which is just positioning and build order. Build order. I will actually just scroll this way. And yeah, why is that important? Because having a build order, guys, is just incredibly important. And that's what I always learned only from my opponents. As soon as I see them buy a Dart Monkey, let's say, I look at where they place it and I look at if it worked or not. And if it worked better than what I did, I will take it. I will take it and try it in the next game. And you keep doing this, and you will face better and better people and players. You keep doing this until you have the best start. Obviously, it's easy to look up on YouTube as well, but a lot of top people do it differently as well. And also, they play different towers. So each tower requires different positioning, and it's actually super, super important. It's actually deciding the game. It's that important. If I misplace something, it will pop a lot less. I will need a lot more defense than to defend, which means I have to spend a lot more money. My economy is ruined, basically. As you know, it's exponential. So if I just have to spend an extra 500 on defense early game, it's gonna be 50k probably in the late game. So it's very, very important to know this. And the best way, I think, again, is either do research, but I think what I did is I just played the game. And so if my opponent beat me, obviously I was looking at it, but even if they didn't, I was still looking at what they were doing, because they might have done something you didn't know. And so need to know build orders for certain loadouts, like how to defend, you know, at least the first like 10 rounds is where this actually matters. But it is again very, very important. So the next thing I want to touch on is probably micro. It is again very important. It will probably make you greed more, or allow you to greed more if you have better micro. So micro means pretty much just micromanaging everything on your screen. Selling towers, buying towers, using abilities, selling your tower again, rebuying it for another ability, for example. These kind of things, everything, hero power, you know, all these kind of things. It is, and also towers like Monkey Ace, Mortar, for example. You can select where it, you know, shoots, follow mouse on it. Heli also has follow mouse. A lot of things can be microed. Even a stationary tower can be microed if you change targeting from strong to first to strong, close. I don't know what else is there, but that comes back to the basics, by the way, like what is available in the game, how do these things work. But micro is something I think we don't really need to actively practice. We just play the game. This is kind of like aim in Counter-Strike or Fortnite. Your aim improves as you play the game. You don't need to pay attention to it, but you don't need to shy away from it. So if there is a situation where you need to micro, try and micro it. And if you lose or die, it is what it is. It will just get better and better tiny bit every now and then. And in the end, you will have okay micro, hopefully. I am not too good with micro. Sometimes my micro is better, sometimes it's worse. But obviously it's mood dependent, how hyped I am, how much, you know, energy do I have, how lazy do I feel. But overall it does improve. Same as my aim in Counter-Strike or an FPS game. So, but just so you know, this is actually very, very important. A lot of towers have abilities, and a lot of these abilities are very, very strong. And the reason you need to use them is because you want to defend a certain rush in the cheapest way possible, right? So that your economy is stronger. Because again, if you spend 5k on a defense that could be defended with 2k, that's 3k difference. That's going to be exponentially hurting you. So it is actually very, very important to understand. And so obviously if someone doesn't have to buy 2 mortar upgrades because they have better micro, they will have the advantage, for example, because they just, you know, aim it better, and so they defend a lot more. So micro is mega important, obviously. And this is something I think you don't have to actively pay attention to. Just play the game. As you play the game, it will be better. I think overall, it's still the towers and heroes. And that is the most important thing ever. Because yes, micro helps you, but if you have good knowledge and you have a good, you know, build on that, you understand your win condition, your maps and your loadout strength, and you are probably super fine, even with bad micro. So it's something that enhances you and your gameplay and allows you to greed more potentially. But after all, this is not something you actually want to, like, you know, study and practice, I think. What would be interesting, by the way, about like these loadout strength and like not really loadout strength, but like towers and heroes, is that if I show you a picture of a defense and I show you a picture of a rush, and you could guess does it defend it or not, I think that's the knowledge we kind of want to achieve with every single scenario. And it's impossible to know all that. But a lot of people will get a lot of things wrong, obviously, but the basics and the more often used loadouts, you should at least understand. Like, if I look at my opponent's side, how do I decide if I need to rush it or not? How do I decide if it has enough or not? And the only way, guys, is to experiment, I think. That's what I've been doing. So the reason for this video is because I've been playing this game for, 250 days. And basically what I did was I recorded a vid every day and uploaded it to YouTube. So from day one, where I knew nothing, just the basics that I carried forward from BTD 5 and 6, and that was one from back then. And I learned all this as well, obviously, and it's actually just mega important to learn. Like, if I look at my opponent's side, do I need to rush that? Or can I force defense up? Can I send a value rush that costs me 1k, but his defense will probably cost 4k or 3k? Then I should send it, right? Because it's all about money after all. If I can hurt their economy, I should. And if they send me a rush, can I defend it with my things? The only way to tell that is if you know your towers and heroes and you know your strengths, and it's just something you desperately want to learn. I think it's just the most important thing ever. So that game would be fun. I wish we could do something like that. But overall, I think that's pretty much the list. These 8 things are the most important things. And so overall, I think what I would say is there are some general things when you play a competitive game and an online game, especially if it's 1v1. I think it's very important, for example, to admit your mistakes and learn from them. So some people always point fingers to teammates, in FPS games and like RNG, but in this game, none of that exists. So if you lose, you probably did something wrong, right? Even if you played it perfectly, played your loadout perfectly, maybe your mistake was on the selection screen, on the loadout selection screen. If you don't get the right loadout for the map, doesn't matter if you played perfectly. You cannot really complain about the opponent. If you lose the game, you did something wrong. That's 100%, pretty much 100% guarantee, unless your internet disconnects, right? It's kind of like chess. So it's very, very important to not point fingers and admit your mistakes and learn from them. Actually look for your mistakes. So obviously the best way is to record your games like I do, but it's not the average player's experience. Nobody records their games. I wouldn't either if I wouldn't put it to YouTube. And it's not like chess. Chess, obviously, you can analyze your games because it has a tool for it, but this game doesn't. So if you are actually really try hard, you would record your games, watch them back, because sometimes you just miss something. I often miss something, and when I watch the recording, I realize, oh my god, this happened or that happened. I didn't even realize in game, because there is so many things to pay attention to. So if you record your games, obviously you can see your mistakes a lot better and see what your opponent was doing, but at least admit them. Admit your mistakes. If you lose, definitely look for something that you did wrong. At least one thing you have to identify. What did you do wrong? The other thing is that I already touched on a little bit is learn from your opponents. Learn from what they do well, but also learn from their mistakes. So obviously they also make mistakes, and try and learn from those mistakes so you don't have to make those mistakes yourself, if that makes sense. And also especially learn from them if they beat you or if they do something good. It's very, very important to look at both sides, not just your side, because that way it's just going to be a lot less improvement overall after a game. So always try and take away a couple of things, but at least one if you lose. Don't be scared to experiment also. Like, if you don't know how strong your opponent's defense is, don't be scared to try it with a rush, because that's the only way. Experiment. And if the rush fails and it makes you lose the game, you shouldn't be sad at all, because that's learning. That's mega important information for you for the next time, right? So never not do something because you're scared to try it. Try everything, because you cannot lose anything. What do you really lose? Some trophies that you will gain back anyway once you are better. And elo, the same thing. Don't let these things affect you. Just try everything. Try to, if you face a loadout that you haven't faced before, rush it with everything, literally. And if you defended their rushes very easy last time, try and get a bit less defense and see if you can defend with that. And try and maximize your greed, basically. Maximize your greed, maximize your economy and money, and learn obviously their win condition and your win condition and their strength, and know when to rush them. It's really easy to say this, but it's very, very hard actually to know all this. It's incredible how deep this game goes and how much knowledge some people have. And I definitely realize this when I play them. It's just everything is cleaner from their side. Their micro, their positioning and build order, the loadout, and they just play perfectly, I feel like. But as I get better, I also realized like I thought a lot of people play perfect, then I realized they don't. So it's as your knowledge increases, the more you see basically, and the more you know how much you don't know, because there is so much. It's crazy. So overall, it is very, very important to experiment, I think, and especially for like about greediness, right? So you need to experiment, like how many farms can I get up? Can I do a tiny bit more, an extra farm upgrade, extra 0-0 farm? Can I still survive? It's just mega important, obviously, because that's the only way to get ahead, right? So yeah, but overall, I think just play the game, and you will kind of get the hang of it. Make sure you enjoy what you play, by the way. Enjoy your loadout. Enjoy the game, and just ignore the hate. If you are part of the community and you get like picked up on, or you have a bad win rate or something, ignore all that and just try and focus on your improvement. Obviously, repel toxicity. Every community has toxicity in it, and bullying. So definitely ignore all that. Never blame your opponent. Again, never blame their loadout. Never blame anyone else for your losses. Just yourself. And that's how I think we should all learn this game, and every game, in fact. Now, an extra thing I didn't really talk about when I talked about economy and income is stalling. So, but this is kind of like specific, but obviously every income arrives every 6 seconds. I will just quickly explain this and then stop the video because I've been talking for way too long. I think I wanted this to be like 15 minutes. So understanding stalling and farms, I think, is also very important. Even in the Hall of Masters, I see players who don't. But basically, farms make a certain money every round. Let's say a banana farm, I'll just say a random number, makes, I think actually it makes $120. So 3 bananas, each worth 40 a round. But how long is a round? How much income can you get during that? So income you get every 6 seconds. And so a round usually lasts until there are AI Bloons, but not really. Some of them have to be popped, but not all of them. I actually don't know it myself either. But on both sides, the game probably looks at how many AI Bloons are left. And so you can shorten the round if you pop them earlier. And so obviously, I probably will pull out paint for this. But maybe not. But basically what you want to do is, if you play farms, you want to shorten the rounds, right? Because if a round is, let's say, this long, you don't need to say seconds, but this long, and you get income every now and then. So let's say you get an income here, and an income here, and an income here. And so this is the round end, right? So here you get paid out. This is without stalling. Let's say just normal gameplay. And so you are playing farms. That means you are putting your money into farms. That means your income is lower, right? So your opponent gets 300, let's say here, you get 280. So every time 6 seconds are passed, he will get more money. But on top of this, you get, let's say, 50 from farms in each round. So obviously, let's look at this. If the rounds are stalled out, so here overall you got 330, your opponent got 300. So that's good. You are ahead. You get more money in a round. But if the round ends here, and this is again the incomes. Actually, sorry, this was 600 for your opponent because he got 2 income, and you got 280 times 2. What is that? 560 plus 50, so you got 610. So great, you got more money. But if you get 3 income in one round, it will be different, right? Because he gets 300 times 3, which is 900, and you get 280 times 3, which is what, 6, 840, plus your 50 from farms. So that will be 890. So actually a random example, but it's always 10, the difference. So here he got 10 more compared to you. So you get minus 10, here you get plus 10. And that's all because of stalling. If the round lasts long, the eco player benefits. If the round is short, the farm player benefits. And that's very important to understand because, again, you need to play your loadout. So if you have farms, always anti-stall. And how do you do that? So like I said, you have to kill the AI Bloons ASAP. So probably that's why you see a lot of people put their towers in the front of the map. And if they play Bloon income, they put it to the back of the map, right? So just an example, new map, new painting. Here's the map loadout for one of the maps, right? This is the desert map, whatever. If I put my monkeys here, they immediately kill what Bloons are coming, right? So here are the Bloons. These get popped very early. This is what a farm player wants to do. And an eco player probably wants to put them here, further back, but not here because that's just a terrible spot, right? You kind of want them here, so it kind of hits here. So you can already tell just by the first tower's positioning that your opponent is probably either on farms or eco, or which means just Bloon income, right? So this is also very important to understand stalling and anti-stalling. And so these kind of techniques you will obviously learn as you play the game, but there will be nobody who explains this to you. So you always kind of have to look at what your opponents and the pros do and try and understand why. And overall, it's not easy to learn this game. I must tell this to you guys because I started in February. And this is now what, November 1st, actually today. Actually 2nd of November. And it's crazy that I still feel like a beginner. Yes, I know certain things, but there is so many towers I still haven't really mastered or tried even. And there's so many heroes I haven't played. And on top of that, Ninja Kiwi always comes out with balance changes, right? So the strength of the towers are different each season. There are new maps every now and then. And so they don't make this easy at all because, you know, every month there is usually an update. But in general, the basics and all these 8 points you can kind of still learn. You can improve your micro, improve your knowledge still. Understand more win conditions. So yeah, overall this is a very hard to learn game, I think, but still very fun. There is a lot of fun since day one, I think, because you always play at your own level. Well, usually that's how the ranked system is supposed to be, at least. And you don't lose anything if you lose. You lose some trophies, who cares? You will get them back, right? You really just win if you take away something from the game. So I think this is actually a game that is rarely tilting. It's a lot less tilting than team games or games with RNG, where you actually outplay your opponent and then, you know, some bad RNG gets you the lose or your teammates troll you. Here, the only way you tilt out is really just when you know something and you still just fail it. It can be a little bit tilting, but at the end of the day, it's your fault or our fault when we lose. So overall, I think it's a very fair game. It's actually good to practice here. Certain things you should do anyway, like admitting mistakes and all that. It's actually a good lesson and practice for that, because there's really nobody you can blame. And it's the same with me. So, but honestly, these are the important things. This is what I learned, or this is how I try to learn so far. And in all honesty, I think it's going okay, but it's the learning and the progression of my skills are pretty much, I'll show you again, pretty much like this, which is very expected. So if this is skills, and this is time, usually we learn like this, right? So obviously, at the beginning you learn rapidly and then it slows down. I think it's true for literally everything in life. I don't know where I am, and this is also different with other people. So some people might be like this, some people are like this, and yeah, there is many different curves, but everyone has a different peak. So what you should aim for is just get to your peak. It will slow down though. I do think my improvement is kind of slow nowadays, but it's still happening. So we shouldn't be worried about this at all. Overall, the more you play, the better you will get. And yeah, don't tilt because it's a fair game. There's nothing to tilt about. And yeah, that's pretty much all. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope this was helpful. If not, it is what it is. I tried my best. And so honestly, just keep watching and follow my journey if you enjoy this. Obviously, I try and upload every day, which is 99% of the time happening. Sometimes I take a break, but other than that, I'm posting all the vids. I'm posting losses and wins. I'm always explaining my thoughts, what I take away from a game, and try and approach it, with these methods and these understandings. Always try and look for better loadouts, better build orders. Always try and rush your opponent if you're not sure. Always try and defend with less and less, read more and more, and just try and maximize your loadout's potential. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So if this helped, definitely subscribe. Definitely let me know. If it didn't, just yeah, let me know that as well. You can dislike the vid. That's fine by me. I need to at least get some feedback. And if it did help, I try and follow this up with a more detailed vid on towers, certain loadouts later. But I also need to get better first. So that is very important that I don't talk about something that I don't actually know. In general, there's a couple of things I could talk about that I didn't touch on today. So yeah, do let me know if this was helpful or not. And yeah, just be back tomorrow for the next episode, which should be a ranked episode. And yeah, just enjoy playing the game as long as you do. And if you don't, stop playing, because don't let this game hold you hostage. Don't let any games hold you hostage. Only play until you enjoy it. And that's it. So yeah, take care, guys. Have a nice day, and bye.